Oh, that's real good.
How's everybody doing this week?
Oh, fantastic.
Doing great. Can't wait to kick off another week of fantasy football, I'll tell you.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
5 weeks are the best, right?
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. First week of bye weeks. Yeah, we love that.
The people I have put in, I'm just like, really? Why are these people even on your roster?
Feel that. Absolutely feel that.
Desperation.
Very desperation, very much so.
Yeah.
So badly.
Right. So, Joe's in a hurry.
I got 30 minutes. We're just gonna fly through the news and notes, and we're gonna get to the juicy and fun stuff. I don't think there's like anything. I mean, there wasn't really any like big things on news and notes that I feel like is. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's crazy to talk about, which is kind of good this week. I mean, there's like do not practices and stuff, but I don't think that's anything to worry about until they don't practice tomorrow.
Right.
So. Well, I think a big one that, well, I guess it depends on your definition of big, but Michael Walker, Falcons linebacker, who's been in the top 10 in scoring the past few days, has not practiced. Nate, if he doesn't go, Rashaan Evans,
I guess so.
Is he a pivot?
Troy Anderson.
I think Troy Anderson.
Anderson.
I saw Troy Anderson too.
It's. I don't think Rashaan Evans is anything. If you're going to go for upside, go for Troy Anderson. And I mean, anybody with the Falcons, not to go on tangent, but, when you have a team that is allowing like the third most drives in football and they're on the field constantly and they can't force turnovers or anything else or force pressure, he's going to be on the field. And if Anderson was practicing with the firsts today, then that just tells me, yeah, I mean, why not? And it's much more fun to start Troy Anderson than Rashaan Evans. Rashaan Evans sucks.
Heck yeah. Yes, it is. We love that energy, Nate. Yes, Troy Anderson to the moon.
He sucks. Exactly.
Heck yeah.
I mean, it's just not fun. It's not exciting to.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
People were hyping up Anderson.
Who's the Falcons playing?
At home against San Francisco.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay.
And San Francisco is not traveling across because they just played Carolina last week, so they're just staying on the East Coast. So time zone will not be an issue for them, for those factoring that into the game.
Good point.
Yep.
All right, so then we're moving on to Clowney and Garrett. Both did not practice. Yeah. Is this from the car accident still or what?
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
I think Garrett, that's yeah.
Yep.
Clowney, I think, has been nursing a groin or a knee.
One
of the two.
I saw, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, going against Billy Zappi. Is it Zappi or Zap? I don't recall.
Zappy.
Yeah. Well,
I say it both ways. It's funny that way.
I mean, the
he's going to
future
be
of the New England
on the ground with
no. The future of the New England Patriots, Bailey Zappi.
It's so sad. He's so much better than Mac already.
Oh, dude, I'm on the Zappy train.
Zappy train.
I'm on it. I ain't getting off.
Is Mac Jones about to be braided?
Yes. Oh, I said it. I said it to my brother. I'm like, look, long time New England Patriot legend Brian Hoyer gets injured. Bailey Zappi has to step in relief in a big situation. Does he win his first game? No. He loses it, just like Tom. And then he comes back and wins his first week.
I mean,
boom.
Correlation is spectacular.
It's spot on.
Close your eyes and you can basically see it. You can see it happening in front of you.
They're the exact same Bailey Zappi, Tom Brady, exact same person. So I'm here for it. I love Zappi, but that's not defense. So
right. So this is a big one. Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Better news today.
He'll play.
Practiced. Yeah, he said he's going to play, but I mean, it is a groin injury is bad for me for reoccurrence. But it's Micah Parsons.
Doesn't it tell you how bad the Rams' offensive line is if after he suffered a groin injury, he still went in there and got you a couple sacks and dominated that offensive line on Sunday?
Worst offensive line.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Yep.
Nick Bosa, obviously another big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did not practice. What? Tomorrow, what?
They're playing Atlanta. They'll be fine. Who cares?
That's
I
what
think they'll be fine.
Nate, in your waiver article this week, you were talking about Drake Jackson. Is he somebody that you, in a pinch, are putting in there, or do you need to see him do something on this level?
Wohlert brought up a good point in that Charles Omenehu is probably more likely to get more snaps just because he's done it before, and I think there'll be a rotational piece. But I'm starting to lean a little bit more towards Omenehu as far as if I had to choose one of the two. Again, Drake Jackson kind of goes along with Trey Anderson. He'd be much more fun to play and be more fun to watch, but Omenehu was great. I mean, he's had good pressure production and everything when he's gotten snaps. So something to pay attention to there. If you're really struggling, bye weeks are pretty nasty. So maybe you are.
Yeah.
Armstead, Mosley, Ward out. All three of them are out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know who's not out? Hufanga.
Kinlock did not practice.
Right.
Don't know who Funga is. Not out. Correct.
Thank God.
He's a high producing volume tackler safety. He's like the next big thing, apparently.
Yeah. Next Troy Polamalu, according to many.
Well, he worked out with Troy Polamalu a lot during the offseason, so
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Simmons back off IR. That's big for the Broncos.
That's cool.
That was for you, Roxanne.
Thank you.
That was like, oh, this will make her day. I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable. I don't think he's in my top 20 yet this week. Probably next week, maybe is when he'll make that appearance.
I have him on a couple, obviously IRs, so I have to see what I have going on. Josie Jewell also.
Yeah, good. Keep him off the field. Let Alex Singleton play middle linebacker. He's way better.
That hurts to even say, but
he's good. He's way better at getting. Well, he's gonna get you fantasy points.
That's very true.
Agree with that.
And that I can't disagree.
Yes.
Shaq Leonard, DMP.
Got concussion. He's just not. I mean, man, he got smoked.
Maybe,
I think combination.
In a broken face.
Maybe if he changes his name back to Darius, he'll be good again.
So it's funny you mentioned that. On his Twitter handle now, I believe it says Darius Shaquille Leonard.
I think you're right, actually.
Yeah. So maybe he's like, ooh, maybe I made a mistake here.
You did.
So
yeah,
you did.
You did.
All right, we have Minka also did not practice yesterday and today.
He could play every snap at every position, and Brady still owns the Steelers. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters for you in fantasy, but there's no reason to play him this week. It doesn't matter. Pittsburgh's going to get absolutely destroyed. They should save Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Jorge, your picks.
So last week, first of all, I just want to give a shout out, or maybe not a shout out, to Fantasy Pros for their ranking system, because we were going through this, and Khalil Mack, who maybe somebody will be talking about in a little bit, was ranked 140th. Yet it has all of his stats, 14 total tackles, 5 sacks, averaging 0 points per game. How does that work, Fantasy Pros? How do you not keep track of your IDP players better than that? Just a little venting there. Shame. I had Rashad Weaver going against the Washington offensive line. I figure, somebody for Tennessee is gonna pay dividends for starting them. He was not that, so that sucks. This week, though, a lot of people, we can go back and forth as far as Matt Judon and his relevance in IDP, and you take away one scoring metric, is he still viable in another set of scoring? I think he is. This guy every week is a highlight reel waiting to happen, always in the backfield, always applying pressures, always getting those sacks. You know what? Just give me the volume, give me what he's got going on versus Cleveland. I think he's a automatic start. He's actually in my top 5, if not my number 1 overall this week. Going last week to linebacker, Malcolm Rodriguez. He had an okay game, but nothing too great to write home about. This week, Quay Walker.
Last guy you suggested, though.
Yeah, no, seriously. So we're moving up there. Quay Walker, Green Bay Packers versus the Jets this week. The Jets kind of realized, hey, we can run the ball because we have really good running backs. And then you have basically, coming out of the draft, there was a lot of talk about Quay Walker being like the 1B to Devondre Campbell's 1A. Well, it's not exactly that. But Quay Walker does give you is consistent tackle volume. And I think as we're heading through the bye weeks, players that we want to have on our rosters are those that provide that consistency versus that volatility. Just because you have a limited number of players to insert in your roster each day. You want to make sure you have the ones that are producing week in and week out. Last week I had as my DB1 Deshaun Elliott. He only finished as the DB1 last week in fantasy scoring. So yay.
Good job.
Yeah.
So this week I'm going to go Grant Delpit. He's playing the most snaps in the box of any defensive back for Cleveland, going against the New England Patriots, who basically are going to be running the ball left and right with Ramondre Stevenson. Now the Browns did pick up Deion Jones in a trade with the Atlanta Falcons, and last I saw, there's the potential for him to be activated. If not, has been activated already. Even if he did play, which that's a big if. I think for this week, you're going to see a limited usage from him just to kind of ease him back into it, which will make Delpit's role in the box a little bit more prevalent. Here's the thing. He averages on the season 9 points a game. Okay. That puts him as the defensive back 51 on the season in points per game. Now you may be thinking defensive back 51, that's pretty bad. That's pretty low. Not really. When you think about the defensive back position, when you have a fantasy point per game average from 9 to 9.9 points per game, so in that 9 range, you have 20 defensive backs. So it's not like an offense where you have like a wide receiver 1 to a wide receiver 3, where you have the average of like 17 to 15, and then you have shorter gaps. Here you have longer gaps of players. So at the end of the day, are you really hurting for a defensive back who's giving you 9 points a game? No. Are you hurting having a defensive back who's getting you 9 points a game going against a run heavy team? Absolutely not. So those are my 3 picks this week. I'm going to go Matt Judon, Quay Walker, and Grant Delpit.
Okay. Do you guys have a rebuttal?
No, because
Okay.
I have a linebacker from Cleveland and a defensive back from Green Bay. So very clearly we're on the same wavelength, myself and Jorge. So
What about you, Nate? What are your thoughts?
No, I've pretty much relegated myself to the same understanding that you have gotten, is that with Zach Wilson under center, they won't throw the ball 51 times a game. Probably lean on Breece Hall and Michael Carter to some extent. And I don't think that I believe that Quay Walker and Devondre Campbell will, I say eat in that game, but I think that we will. I think we'll see, potential double-digit scoring from both of them. I know how you are with Matt Judon, and I'm not against Matt Judon. No, I love Matthew.
I like the Matt Judon pick. His name has been coming up a lot. You can hear it in the games the last couple of weeks. It's like he said, it's going to happen.
He's so underappreciated.
Mm-hmm.
He's always there, and it's easy to pay attention, and who he is on the field because he wears long red sleeves, and you don't have to focus and go, "Where's Matthew Judon?" He's there.
We like that.
I guess the only thing for I guess a counterpoint for Judon is the guy gets his fantasy points off of a lot of sacks. He doesn't rack up like a total number of tackles, and so you may think, well, you can't use sacks as a sticky statistics because that's a very volatile week from week to week, but he gets a lot of pressures. So those kind of turn into sacks eventually.
Mm-hmm.
They do. And if there's one thing that Belichick does extremely well, is takes away that one area that we've talked about. And that's probably going to be trying to take away Nick Chubb. And if he can force the Browns' hand like he kind of did, like they did with the Lions last week, maybe that forces them to throw the ball a little bit more. And if that's the case, then there you go. Pin your ears back and all systems go.
Yep. All right, Joe. This first one, Khalil Mack finished linebacker 67 or DL 370. Who goes that far down?
Nobody, but this is to go back to Jorge's Fantasy Pro scoring. He's listed at defensive lineman 370 this week.
Nice.
Even though he had 2 tackles, 1 solo. I mean, he didn't have a good week, but he also didn't have a defensive lineman 370 type week. So I don't know where he's ranking. But all I know is it didn't go well. The chart, it just didn't go well, which kind of sucks. This week I have Trey Hendrickson. He plays his old team.
Yep.
In his old stomping grounds against a really bad quarterback. And you may be saying, Joe, who's starting for them? Don't care. Both of them suck. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think Hendrickson has a good game. Van Der Esch.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was I'm with you.
Meh.
Yeah.
What the hell? Meh. It was
Yeah,
just
now they decided to roll 3 safeties, which it makes sense because Donovan Wilson had been playing so well, but
meh.
the writing was there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was tough. I have Jeremiah Owusu-Karamoah against New England. Didn't know about the Deion Jones trade. That scares me if Deion Jones even just takes snaps away from JOK. Cleveland's been running 3 linebackers. Owusu-Karamoah is normally the second most snap percentage guy. That's not the correct English that I just said, but you get it.
Yep. We know Joe speak.
Yeah, Jorge brought up that the Patriots are going to run the football a lot. Hell yeah, they are. Owusu-Karamoah is going to do something about it.
Yeah.
So, and if not, it's also dump city to Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne underneath. Saw Hunter Henry get involved in the game last week again against, a bad defense, but got involved in the game. And then this one hurt because I was going back and forth between Phillips and Duggar on who to pick last week.
Yeah.
And I was like, Duggar seems too obvious. I'm gonna give Phillips this thing. And Phillips had a couple tackle for losses. Overall, not a great week. DB 75. Of course, Kyle Duggar returns a fumble recovery for a touchdown for like 60 yards.
Yep.
So that again, really, it didn't feel good. But overall, great week for the New England defense. I'm not angry with that at all. Fantastic week. I've Darnell Savage against the Jets for the exact same reason Jorge said with Quay Walker. They're running the football now. And I mean, I don't think Breece Hall or Michael Carter can cut in a dime like Saquon Barkley does and leave Darnell Savage's jockstrap on the 40-yard line. But if they can, then maybe this is a bad pick. But I think Savage will have a good week. I think Green Bay has a bounce back week a little bit on defense. I do think they lose this game. And I don't like saying that. I don't like saying that. If I was betting money on this game, because I imagine the money line is heavily favored to Green Bay, probably by at least 5.5, maybe 6 points on the spread. So the money line's got to be somewhere around plus 300, plus 350 for the Jets. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Green Bay just seems off, and the Jets, something seems to be working. That's all I'm saying. Something seems to be working in that system. I don't know what it is, but something's working.
I put some money on the Jets.
I don't listen.
Put money on both, and you'll be a winner regardless. So
I'm looking up the game spreads this week.
By the way, Darnell Savage, Maryland Terrapin, go Terps!
Oh, Terps, baby! Yeah, no, I like Savage a lot. Savage. First off, is a very good player in general. And I like him all this. Oh God, the spread's even bigger. It's minus 7.5. I would take the Jets all day, every day, against the spread right there, plus 7.5. And I like plus 280 on the money line as well. For the betting advice that you came here for, I would do that. So,
right.
Yeah, those are my picks.
I placed the bet. So
heck yeah.
All right.
I tell you, I don't blame you. Honestly, I mean, look at the Jets. It's a good thing when they can move players like Elijah Vera Tucker from left guard to right tackle, and he plays successfully. That's the type of move that Jets historically have done, and they end up facing 25 pressures to 35 pressures a game, and no one can understand moving pieces around the offensive line is a bad idea, and they're doing it this year, and it's successful. That's usually the precipice of a winning franchise that gets lucky sometimes like that, and it pans out.
Right. So we're moving on to Nate's picks.
Yeah.
DOA, DL42. So you did the best this week, right?
Yeah.
He did well.
I had so much tied to OA that him not finishing as in the top 25 felt like a kick in the stomach really bad. But he had a lot of pressures, or he had some pressures, and just didn't translate. JPP did, though.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, he did. So I'm glad you brought that up, Nate, because I have JPP ranked kind of high this week, and I know that obviously there's concern with snaps and opportunities, but with limited snaps and limited opportunities, JPP was pretty dominant. I mean, he was pretty good in the fantasy department, point scoring wise. He got you a sack. I mean, is it crazy to think that even on a limited, snap basis, JPP can be somebody that can, do something good for you this week?
Man, this week, yes. Going forward, I'd tell you, I'm a little less optimistic about that defensive line because I think it's more of a rotational piece with them getting David Ojabo back and Justin Houston on the way back. You have a lot of pieces in Baltimore will want to mix and match a ton of them, I think, and keep everybody healthy and keep them rotating. And that sometimes is a recipe for scariness when it comes to IDP scoring.
Yeah.
What a recipe for success is take a number 1 overall pick, match him up against a converted left tackle to right tackle because, quote unquote, he will be more comfortable over there. And he allows 13 pressures amongst the 2 games with him at right tackle. And last time this team played said other team, Matt Pryor was lined up on the left side where he was less comfortable. And Josh Allen beat him multiple times for multiple sacks and a huge game. That player now this week is Trayvon Walker, who is going to be facing Matt Pryor in a game where I believe Jacksonville can lead this game, forcing, I would say not fleet of foot, Matt Ryan, to try to move around the pocket. And Trayvon Walker has shown he has stayed off the stat sheet for a couple weeks now, but can stuff it in a big way in terms of interception potential upside. He can actually stop the run. He can do a little bit of everything. So I'm high on Trayvon Walker this week.
I like that pick. Okay. Linebacker Zaire Franklin 31 is good too. You win again.
Yeah, it was kind of easy. Zaire Franklin has kind of been the low-hanging fruit, but you know what? Consistently underrated. Had a great week last week. Again, on the field a ton. Tackles just seem to funnel his direction. A la this week, a person who's underrated. We just mentioned his name earlier, Alex Singleton.
Yep.
Last night, Wohlert made a great comparison of him to the Undertaker of his career resurfacing, coming out of the coffin or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the story is he can just reappear and he's going to fall into 8 tackles just by coincidence, but because he's always there. And there's not much in the way of other, I would say, tackle vultures around him this week. And the Chargers, if you look, I mean, they've given up double-digit scoring to a linebacker every week but one. They've allowed multiple double-digit tackle fantasy pro scoring linebackers in 3 of the 5 weeks. So it just seems like everything's going to funnel towards the middle a little bit. I still don't like that Chargers offensive line, and not that I like the Denver defensive line that much. Sorry, Roxanne, but they're struggling a little bit. You're trying. Trying is the first step to failure. So congratulations.
That's true.
That's all I can tell myself at this point. Like these first 5 weeks are not how I expected at all.
It's their only step to failure, actually. So
well, for now, it'll get better. It'll get better, Roxanne. It'll get better. Eventually, one day. So
I can't even. I'm just so we've had such shitty. I said it last week. We've had such shitty years since the Super Bowl, and we had hope this year, and it is just no, it's not.
Fire Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
Him and Wilson, they have just such different ideas of plays, and it's a mess. I've said it before, it's a mess.
It is a shitstorm. It's also a shitstorm. And the game that's going to happen between the Atlanta Falcons and the San Francisco 49ers, I don't believe is going to be a good game for either. I think it's going to be bad. I think San Francisco is missing so many pieces on that defensive side that they only win by 8. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations because Atlanta has no pass rush, so they're not going to get pressure. Atlanta allows the 4th most plays on the season. They allow the second longest drive on average, or 3rd longest drives on average. All those pieces add up to a player like Richie Grant staying on the field. And the 49ers, if there's anything, they don't have Trent Williams. So maybe Atlanta can get a little bit of pressure. And then Richie Grant, not only 1, can stop the run, which he's done extremely well this year, considering. And 2, if he's in the right place, right time, he might be able to get a splash play. I think he's top 5 in solo tackles. He's second on their team in tackles. He's doing everything right. And he finally has a position. He's comfortable. He's not bouncing from safety to corner to slot to whatever. Just, there's something comfortable about that. Like us, when we're all together at 6 o'clock, this half hour is comforting. We feel good until half hour from now when we have to watch the shittiest Thursday night game like we did last week. I want to call you.
Hey,
easy.
That's
Easy.
Jorge's Commanders football team, formerly Redskins team.
If you are
Excited
not
about
cheering for Brian Robinson tonight, you have no soul.
He's my captain, actually.
Oh, nice. And the DraftKings, the thingy. Yeah, nice.
Yep.
Mine's Curtis Samuel, and I think Curtis Samuel has.
I took Curtis Samuel out and put Brian Robinson in. I switched him.
Put Curtis Samuel back in right now. Kyler Gordon, who he's matched up against, allows the most yak of any corner in the NFL. Curtis Samuel should be.
Suck.
The Bears are terrible. Kyler Gordon somehow is even worse. Curtis Samuel will see tons of action underneath. I think they're not going to have a ton of time. I'm guessing. I think he's probably the only one that scores a touchdown. I can see Joe going, "What the is this guy talking about? It's offense." Put Curtis Samuel back in. Watch he'll blow up.
Thank you. Because I had him in and I switched him like at 3 o'clock today.
Yep.
Opening my captain's DraftKings app right now.
All right. So who you guys?
Okay. Yeah, we got 3 minutes for Joe.
Yeah. So for me, it's the guy who had a groin injury last week, Micah Parsons, going against one of the best offensive lines in all of football. Yes, I understand Micah Parsons got a groin injury and still produced last week. That was against the Rams, the worst offensive line in all of football. I think he's going to have a much tougher task this week. So I actually like DeMarcus Lawrence this week as opposed to Micah. So fade Micah a little bit this week.
I get that.
Simple.
Joe, Byron Murphy Jr.
Yeah, he had a lot of points last week. I think he just gets toasted by whoever he lines up on this week, DK or Tyler Lockett. It's probably going to be Lockett, would be my guess. I'm not too sure how they're going to choose to play either of those guys, but whoever he's going to get lined up on, he's going to be absolutely toasted. And I just don't foresee another week like that. And just real quick on Hassan Reddick, one solo tackle, which was a tackle for loss, 1 QB hit, and 1 sack. Welcome to the Hassan Reddick he sucks after he blows up game. You're welcome.
It might happen for the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Get you ready. Mine is a name that we're used to seeing as far as a must play, because he's pretty much he was a rock solid floor play, is Levante David. And it shows Pittsburgh, not good against linebackers, or at least for scoring. Number one thing to pay attention to is Najee Harris sucks. And Najee Harris can't get past. He's not breaking tackles. He's not getting to the second line of defense. Makes it hard for Levante David to get tackles if, number one, he's running away from his side, and 2, he's taken down at the line of scrimmage, or at least 3.49 yards or whatever it is he's averaging, which is just gross. And Levante David's tackle percentage is extremely low this year. And Pittsburgh's just bad in general. I don't see them able to really hold the ball at much. I think Tampa just absolutely runs house on them. Devin White's about the only person, and one of 2. It's either going to be Antoine Winfield or Mike Edwards. And everything else in that game, from IDP side, I don't really care for.
I agree.
Okay, we have to say goodbye because this has been our quick episode. This has been the latest episode of You Down with IDP from Club Fantasy and Fantasy and Frames. I'm just going to read it all real quick, guys. Make sure you're following Fantasy and Frames on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fantasy and Frames. And be sure to check out their website, fantasyandframes.com, for all your IDP needs. And don't forget, they have Dynasty, Redraft, and DFS too. You can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. DFS, player props, sports betting, and our start sit column, Confidence Plays, begins tomorrow morning. That will be all there. And for Nate Marcum on Twitter at Joe_Zollo, Jorge at Jorge Edwards, and myself at Queen Roxanne. Thanks for joining us tonight on You Down with IDP. 31 minutes to go.
You crushed it.
See if